Okay. Catherine just showed me pictures of Arta's coronaries. So now I want to hear the story of when Arta woke Catherine up.
Okay, so these are my recollections. I'm just looking quickly to see if I can find the picture. What in the world? What day is that's how could I not have the picture? Was it 2021 or 2022?
2020. She died in 2021.
Oh, so it'd be 2020. Oh, thanks. That's not
maybe even 2019.
Okay. So 2020, yeah, it would have been 2020.
Because it was before she had her
No, it was when Dad died. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
before COVID.
2017, maybe.
This is 2017. I'm looking at the wrong year. That's why I'm like very confused. Okay. So I went out to help Arta move back, help Arta the week after my dad died, getting ready for the funeral. Here we go. We'll find it now. I'm trying to find the picture of Arta after she had her heart attack. Anyway, the story, my recollections of how this story goes. I was out visiting Arta. I've lost that. Okay, we'll look for it after. Okay, I was out visiting Arta. After my father died, we were getting ready for the funeral, and I went a few days early to help her get organized for the funeral. And there's a backstory to it, but I'm just going to start from the night of the heart attack. So Arta, we'd had a very hard day and had been at the cemetery and had met with the man who was going to run the funeral, and we were kind of exhausted. And I went to bed with Eb upstairs at 2427 in her old master bedroom, and she was downstairs in the basement. And at about 12:30 at night, she knocked on the door and pushed it open and came in and gave me a little tap and said, "Catherine, could you please take my blood pressure? I'm not feeling that well." And I said, "No, I'm not going to take your blood pressure. What's wrong?" She said, "I'm having kind of this pain," and she's rocking on the bed, "having this pain in my chest, and it's been going on for a while, and I've just been on the bed and like rocking back and forth, like kind of like when you're having labor pains, and it's just not going away." And I said, "Arta, we're going to the hospital." But here I am in her basement with Eb and a boarder, like this male boarder, and I'm like, what am I, okay, I'm trying to process in my head, get my mother, do I call an ambulance? No, it's probably faster. I just stick my mom in a car, she's awake, and I'll drive to the hospital. So I try to call Richard and tell him I'm taking mom to the hospital, but he doesn't pick up. So then I think, oh, am I gonna wake him up? Like, whatever. And Arta says, "Don't worry about Eb. She's sleeping and the boarder's here. We'll just tell the boarder we're going and the boarder can listen for her." So I knock on the boarder's door and say, "I'm taking her to the hospital. Would you please listen for my daughter? If she wakes up, just call Richard." And so this guy's like, "Okay." And then I pack Arta into this old car that she's been driving
for 20 years.
Yeah, well, it's maybe one Richard's given her, but the exhaust pipe is broken, and so the exhaust is actually coming into the car when you're driving, like it stinks. And I'm like, okay, well, we're taking this to the hospital. So we drive over there. I drop her off. I take her into triage, and I say, "I think my mom's having a heart attack. Like, there's something wrong. My mom's like having chest pain. And I drop her off at triage, and I go out to park the car. And then when I get back in, they still haven't taken her to triage, and I'm confused, like why there's this old lady having chest pain. So finally I tap again, like, I'm going to triage this lady. And so they finally take her in, but then they make her come sit back in the waiting room. And I'm thinking, this is a really crazy ER, but whatever. It wasn't too long after, maybe a half an hour, they call her into a bed and they put her on the bed and they hook her up to an EKG. And I'm staring at the monitor while they're hooking her up, and I'm like, not sure what to do, because I know that I can see on the machine she's having a heart attack. And I don't want to tell her you're having a heart attack because I don't want to scare her. But I'm also, and then
but she's having a heart attack.
Yeah, she is. And I'm freaking out now because I'm sitting beside her and I'm thinking, is my mom going to die? Like, I don't know what's going on here. And I'm here alone. My brother's asleep at his house. My daughter's like, this is so wacky. So the doctor finally comes in and here's the story, and here's that my dad's just died, and he says to her, oh, this happens a lot. We see this often, the stress of somebody dying, and then people have a heart attack. And I'm thinking, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you have no clue. But he's like processing. He calls the cardiologist. They're running in, they're giving her aspirin, they're giving her nitro under her tongue, and she's like just lying there, like do. And I'm sitting there, and finally by now it's maybe 3 or 4 in the morning, and I know Eric might be awake in Montreal. Here's the time change. So I start texting him madly. Here, I'm at the hospital. I think my mother's having a heart attack. Like, not sure what to do, but like just like wanted to let you know like where I am. And finally then it goes fast. Then the cardiologist comes in, they tell her, we're going to take you to the cath lab, you're having like a heart attack, we have to do an angiogram or a cardiac catheterization. And so there's like boom boom, like they're whacking her, this that, like they're doing all this stuff.
Now it's moving fast.
Now it's moving really fast. And so then they take her off to the operating suite. And I'm sitting in the ER now, and I'm still like trying to process what's gone on in the last hour or two. And then I remember back to but anyway, whatever. I remember back to a time that our dad went to the hospital, and one family member knew, but nobody else knew. And then I couldn't find my dad for days. And then finally I was like, where's dad? And somebody's like, oh, he's in the hospital. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be the one who doesn't let people know that ours in the hospital. So first I call Richard, and I call him because I'm like, I'm not sitting here being scared alone. So I call Richard this time, and he picks up. And I say, why didn't you pick up before? Oh, I thought it was about a call. So I just, like, I was ignoring it. I thought if it was something important, you would call back. So I said, I'm at the hospital with Arta. Go get Eb, take her to your house, and then get over here, because I'm not sitting here alone. She's going for an angiogram, and like, get over here now. So he gets out of bed, gets Eb organized, and then he comes over. So maybe by like, I don't know, 4:30 or 5 in the morning, he finally arrives. And she's already gone in. I think I saw her go in and went in for a minute and then came out. So he finally arrives, and we're standing outside of like the catheterization lab, just like, dude, like, what are you, like, what's the conversation you're having then? Like, I don't know. We're just like sitting there, like, what are we supposed to do? Should we call people? Should we not? And then they wheel Arta out. And they say, okay, everything went well, whatever. We're taking her up to the cardiology ward now. You can follow us. So we follow them up there. That's when we see her like pinned into the bed, and she's talking, and we're like, okay. And then they say, well, you have to go wait in the waiting room again. We're going to get her settled here. So then it's like 5:30, and we're like, okay, we're going to start to call people east to west. So I can call Mary, ours in the hospital, she's had a heart attack, like blah, blah, blah. Wait, like and then we wait a little bit longer, then we call Doral, and then we try to call Kelvin, and then we wait longer until like we're giving you all a little
the BC
time.
people finally.
Yeah. And then finally they let us back into her room. And that's when she was so funny. So she's basically pinned to her bed, which made us laugh, because we're like,
the only way
to get Arta to not get up and do something
wrench her
is
into
to
place.
pin her, like with a vice. They viced her to the bed. Anyway, I took a picture.
Do that?
Never.
Oh, are you fucking serious?
No, I've never seen them do that, but I'm sure
We're
they
recording,
do.
just so you know. Keep those.
So
Are you fucking serious?
It's okay. It'll be transcribed.
Yeah, we're good.
We'll take it out.
Transcribed. No, we'll leave it in.
Yeah, whatever. Well, that's why I was laughing at the end, because I knew she was safe and alive. But while this is happening too, like, I think the reason she'd been late going into the ER is because there was a guy right ahead of her who was also having a heart attack. So they were processing him, and then they brought her in, and then those two end up sharing a room upstairs. So when we get
The two heart attack people?
yeah. So they bring him out of the cath lab, and he's in the far bed by the window, and then they bring her up to the ward and put her next to her. But then he codes when he gets to the ward.
Oh.
So they're in there like doing CPR on him. They're like, hey, you'll have to leave now. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Then so that guy was in bigger trouble. Arta was at least awake, but Arta was viced down for a little bit. And then by then I needed to go home and go to bed. And but then we called Wyana, by then we called Glenn, like then we called everybody. And then I have this really strange recollection that what Arta wanted more than anything else was to us to bring a scarf for her so she'd look great in bed. And then, oh my gosh.
And then I remember
Oh my
that they
gosh.
caught her organizing the books in the
Oh,
family
worse
room.
than that, worse than that. So she was in the ward up there and being monitored for a certain number of days. And Wyana brought her over scarves and things so she could
Jewelry.
look great in bed. And the nurses were all telling us, you're the most telling her and us, like, your mom's like the most well-dressed person in the hospital, right? She was like all dressed to the nines, a different scarf every day, a few jewels from Wyana. I don't know. It was so hilarious. And then they finally, when she was like stabilized, moved her out of the CCU into a ward. And then in the ward, she started going around the ward cleaning up. Like she went into the library room and she was like tidying up the books. She was, and by then I was like, okay, not ready to take her home, but I think she's ready to go home. So there's my recollections of. Oh, that's also the moment when Arta learned how to use voice memos, or the text. She could do voice to text because she was practicing
On her phone.
So she was putting it on and sending a message. I'm here in the room and I'm noticing this and that, and oh, isn't this fun? And then sending me all these texts of like just random things she was just practicing, of course. Oh my gosh.
'Cause
Yeah.
I do remember the conversation around the doctor saying that this could be because grief.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like
He's like, it's not grief.
yeah, that was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to take the other story on here at the same time, pause it, and then maybe we restart another story. Oh, yeah.